So let's fucking do it for the 3 people who will show up for this. Okay.
Okay. All right. Welcome to another edition of Mob Rules Hot Takes. Today we're talking about Arcs of Omen Vashtorr. Dude, I'm excited about this. John, are you excited about this?
I was really excited about Vashtorr until I saw one or two things, namely his rules. But I'm sure we'll go over that here.
Was it his rules and his point cost? Were those the two things that were a problem?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the nail on the head there.
We're going to talk about some Vashtorr today, and his ride along buddy Azrael, of course.
His ride or die.
Yeah, really though. I mean, he's going to kill Vashtorr and just live. Yeah, because Azrael's the man. So so we're going to go over Vashtorr. We're actually going to talk about his army for now as well, and then we're going to talk about Azrael. We're going to kind of briefly touch on some of the fluff here for the book, and
let me go over the fluff there real quick, because someone was nice enough to do this on Reddit here. So Vashtorr has made a deal with the Abominable Intelligence, which I imagine is some large furry snowman-like creature. The Abominable Intelligence is capable of tracking down where the rock is, and in exchange for handing over that knowledge to Vashtorr, the AI wants its mind uploaded to the Ark of Omen. So that's a deal that's done. Vashtorr brings down the shields of the rock, goes inside, looks for the key fragment at the very center. However, Deus Ex Bellicor happens. Bellicor appears with his own army, attacks Vashtorr, and forces him to run away empty-handed.
Wow. Okay.
Vashtorr, tail between his legs, he does have a tail, goes back to Abaddon, says he won't be able to invade the rock again because they would only fall for that once. However, his captured minions are deliberately, so a bunch of the Chaos guys were captured by the Dark Angels, and they are now leaking the information of Abaddon's location. They figure if they can't go to the rock to steal the key, that obviously the rock will come to them.
Sure, that makes sense.
Steal the key. Abaddon, by the way, apparently does not want to speak the name of the key fragment out loud in case anybody overhears him.
Interesting.
Danny, thoughts on that? So another thing's confirmed in this as well as Vashtorr and Perturabo do have an alliance, which makes sense lore-wise.
Yeah.
But what do you think this key is that the Abaddon doesn't want to say out loud? And
I don't know. So this is a key to open like a portal, or a key to get to the rocks?
Yes,
like internal.
It's a key that's needed. This is kind of like just a MacGuffin, I think is the better word.
Okay. It could be anything. Knowing the Dark Angels, it's probably a robe. Or one of the literal hundreds of keys that bedeck each model in bespoke beauty.
Yes. Yeah. Codename Simba, maybe.
Yeah.
That could be a key that needs to be retrieved from the rock.
Maybe it's just a lion, man.
I'm so glad you picked up on my very subtle hint about what it could be. But yeah, that's the lore. Chad, thanks for pointing out that we haven't updated this logo. It still says your bi-weekly 40K podcast, which I think is about 4.5 out a day.
We don't decide we haven't ever defined what kind of week we use to schedule that. Bi-weekly could just be every other year.
Yeah. Kelsey, by the way, in chat saying he doesn't want to speak the name until Adepticon, which is just it's peak.
Ooh. I'm so excited. I love Dark Angels, so man, if we got the lion, I'm super stoked about Azrael. That model is so cool, and God, what an improvement over his original.
Yeah. And you guys will all be happy to know Stream Health just changed to excellent. So it's just a choppy start. Look at this all go. Heck yeah. Hey, let's see if I can change scenes now. By the way, Tech Priest Dickie, our usual amazing overseer and stream producer, decided to go to an RTT today.
Come on.
So, yeah, you're in my hands right now. Yeah, so let's just move over. Let's take a look at what we're looking at.
Disappointing. All right, so we're talking about Vashtorr, the Archifane.
Yeah, so we're starting here, and here are the rules and some amazing art for Vashtorr, the Archifane. Danny, and again, we wanted, before we start, thank you Games Workshop for the advanced copy of the arcs, and also the beautiful models. I painted up the Vashtorr. Danny, we're going to go into your Azrael a little later on here.
Do we have a picture of your Vashtorr? And why don't we?
We don't. Well, we'll have that up on Grim on Monday. I thought about
Okay,
that about
cool.
2 minutes after we went live. Um, but Vashtorr is an amazing model to put together and paint. The level of detail in there, and just the,
Yeah.
the cool little like details are just super cool. Like
Dude,
there's
the biomechanical stuff is so rad, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
he just and he's like lanky and kind of like thin. So I don't know. I kind of like that other than like the huge muscle man. Everyone looks like the ultimate warrior.
yeah.
This guy doesn't because he's a nerd.
Dude, I love it. And then if you read Warhammer Community had a great article up about designing Vashtorr, and they said they gave him like the blacksmith apron style at the
Oh
front.
yeah. Okay.
But they wanted him to be so like there's so many cool details in this, guys.
That's cool.
Um, John's quick review: don't buy this box just for this model. Danny, why don't you take us through the Vashtorr?
Well, I'm not going to say that. I would say buy this box if you want this model because it's a cool model, but buy it because you want the model, not because he's going to be awesome in the game. I think that's probably a fair assessment. Like, and he's got some things going for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's movement 12 with fly to start with, which is great. 14 wounds is a significant amount of wounds. Toughness 7, great. And then he's 2+, 4+. Invul save, and then -1 damage. So
yeah,
decently tanky, honestly.
mm-hmm.
Especially and 4+s are kind of they're on or they're not. So he could be very durable. And then he does degrade to 10 and 8 for movement, and then he goes from 7 attacks down to 5 attacks at his lowest.
Are you surprised that the degradation is just hitting movement and attacks? Because it's only 2 columns we're hitting on here.
Honestly, I would like to see more degradation happen like this, to where they kind of affect a stat that's significant for the model's damage output. So if it's like a tank, ballistic skill, I think is great, and movement is great. But you don't also have to do things like their attacks and stuff like that. I think that just makes it kind of clunky.
Right.
So I like just 2 categories. I think that's fine. Some models might need 3. If they I like that Magnus gets less good at casting and Lords of Change as they take damage. I like that quite a bit.
So
his weapons aren't bad.
Yeah, he has a claw that doesn't hit in close combat and a thunder hammer. But if you want to maybe give a more betterer explanation.
No, okay, so it's an assault heavy flamer with -2 AP, which is cool. And then the thunder hammer is exactly the same as the thunder hammer, except it's not -1 to hit. And if you target a vehicle unit, if you roll an unmodified wound roll of 5 or more, it just does 4 mortal wounds instead of damage, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So he's good at smashing a tank. No sweep attacks though, or like multi-attack means that even at 7 attacks, he probably doesn't pick up like even a 5-man intercessor squad.
Right.
Um,
He's
which is
definitely
tough.
like a scalpel where you're putting him in like directly towards vehicles, but
Yeah.
in doing that as well, you're really kind of telling your opponent where Vashtorr is going, what he's going to be doing.
Yeah, sort of.
His
Any kind of high value target, right? Like a monster, a
Mhm.
vehicle, a character. I think he's really good at smashing all that stuff. Or an elite unit that has 3 wounds, also good at that.
Mhm. So he does also have Warp Strike. What are your thoughts on that?
He certainly does have Warp Strike.
I think it really hurts him.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's just an option. If you don't feel like you can hide him very well, because remember, since he has 14 wounds, he's not character blocked, which is probably his biggest downside. Like if he were 9 wounds and be able to be character blocked, I think he'd be an amazing unit. You'd see him a lot, I think. So he's got Warp Strike. I think that's kind of an interesting option for him if you think you can nail that 9-inch out of Deep Strike. And since he does have the Agent of Chaos keyword, you can put him into a bunch of different armies. So maybe that might work. It's kind of like a, hey, Vashtorr's here, you better deal with him this turn, or he's gonna charge you next turn. If I didn't make the assault out of Deep Strike.
Now, we've been talking about that a lot, because I know since he came out, when I saw that Agents of Chaos keyword, I've been just trying to shove him in as many things as possible. Where do you feel Vashtorr works best?
Yeah, I mean, I think, whenever you get a new toy, shoving it into as many different things as possible is always going to be your best bet. um, despite his spiky wings. Uh,
Yeah.
I think
Your
he
mother of
works.
chaos.
I don't know. I think he works best if you're gonna. Okay, so honestly, I think he works best in Army of Renown. But if you're not going to take him in his Army of Renown, I think he's like a decent choice in like maybe demons is like another big threat that you have to deal with. That's not as expensive as Greater Demon, but I mean he's pretty close. And then I don't think he's worth it in Chaos Space Marines. He might be worth it in Knights as kind of like another unit, but you can get 2 carnivores for the same cost that have the same wounds. So like, why?
Danny, how many night lists have I gone over with you in the past couple of weeks trying to fit
At least
Vashtorr
2.
in? At
I mean,
least 2.
he fits. It's just he costs a 260 is a lot. Like, so
Yeah.
if you compare him with something else that's like Angron, for instance, right? Angron is 360 points. So for 100 more points, right, you get a Demon Primarch that can come back to life, that has way better attacks, has a multi-attack profile, whose command phase abilities are better, which we'll go over. Oh, also,
Yeah.
Vashtorr's Warlord trait is like really not good.
It certainly is a warlord trait.
It is. It is one of the warlord traits in Codex Chaos Space Marines. It is Lord of Terror, which means he like affects combat attrition tests, and I think he gives a penalty to leadership. Anyway, his command phase abilities, he gets to pick one of 3. So he's got Unholy Machine, Machina, or Unholy Machines. He gets to pick a Demon Engine within 3 and give them +1 to hit. Now, note this is different than the Warpsmith and the Disco, in that it gives them +1 to hit, regardless of whether it's melee or shooting. So, if that matters to you, and then, or you can choose to pick a unit with an 18 and have the range characteristics on their shooting weapons. Also, you have to be in line of sight. This one's probably the best one, I think, because it's the most useful. But then again, like if the unit moves fast or whatever, then it probably isn't going to do anything. So it's best if you can target like a real kind of static army.
I like the Ghost in the Machine changes a ranged unit's shooting from your army to just Vashtorr, because you have to be seen. You've got to be able to see the unit. He's going to be within 18. So a lot of kind of the big guns, you're going to be protecting a lot of your army, but Vashtorr gets put like right in the firing line for that.
Sure. I think like the key to this is using this as like a kind of like edging units. So you like can see one model out of a unit, right? And you just kind of like cut those corners. And so, yeah, they might be able to get 1 or 2 guys into them, but probably not as many. And then maybe you can fly up and smash them on the next turn. Because he's pretty quick.
Yeah.
And the final one is you get to pick a vehicle unit, also with an 18 in line of sight, and you get to have their move and attacks characteristics. This is kind of cool for against, like, I think it's good against knights, because like switching like an armature or warhound or wardog to like 2 attacks is pretty great. Also making them like movement 6, so they might not be able to attack you, but you know their buddies probably will.
Right.
Great on a big night because that really slows them down. Movement 5 stinks on them out loud. So
Vashtorr here, as I keep trying to keep my mouse out of the screen. Most of the points you're paying right here are for Will of the Archifane, his command phase abilities. Again, I think a lot of it is because there's a lot of kind of debuffs there, and especially ways of buffing demon engines, which there isn't, I believe, a huge way out to there, or there isn't like a huge list of things that can do that as effectively. But as we can see kind of at the bottom of the screen here, 260 points.
Yeah.
Which is a huge output in your army for this model. Danny, how overcosted do you believe Vashtorr is?
Oh, I don't know. Probably 50 or 60 points, maybe 70 points. I think if you take that down, I don't think you're paying for Will the Archifane. I think you're paying for toughness 7, 2 up, 4 up, and -1 damage, and the movement 12 with fly. But again, kind of like a lot of other chaos units, he's just there to like run up and smash stuff. Like his will the Archifane stuff is all like, I'm not taking him for that, like, because it's not worth it.
No, you know, as our friends at Stat Check say, it doesn't matter your range if you're dead. So
that's true.
Beautiful. Danny, you did mention he is best when used in his army of renown. Now, this one was not previewed for us. We found out about this things, and I was kind of surprised. Take me through the cogs of Vashtorr.
So this is a new army of renown, so you have to abide by the restrictions of this, and then you get certain benefits. So none of the cult marines, so no berserkers, rubrics, plague marines, or noise marines. You have to take Vashtorr in the list, and he has to be your warlord. You can't include any other named characters or demon princes, and it has to be.
Man, it seems like Vashtorr's getting in the machine here for Daniel as he drops out. Amazing. So yeah, as he was saying, you you get the new relics, new stratagems. You get the Tech Infernal Folky ability, but you can never count as a legion, and you're really kind of restricted on what you take. If the unit has a demon engine keyword, let's go through the Tech Infernal Folky. If this unit has a demon engine keyword, it is always considered to be engaged in wanton destruction, wanton massacre, and wanton slaughter, which is a fantastic thing here. However, if you do not have the demon engine keyword, you are never considered to be engaged in wanton destruction, wanton massacre, or wanton slaughter. For the relics we have here, the Talisman of the Forge. It's a cogs of Vashtorr model only. In your command phase, select one friendly demon engine model within 9 inches of the bearer. Until the start of your next command phase, each time that model loses a wound, roll 1d6. On a 5+, that wound is not lost, which is amazing. It doesn't specify if this is a Titanic unit, so this can fit on a Lord of Skulls. It's perfect. I love it so much. And then we check and see if we can get young Danny back here. Sure, he's just going to quit out, come back in again. Helm of the Cyberphage. This sentient helm is infested with data parasitic demon imps, which that's, go to the clinic for that, guys. They reveal every weakness of the enemy's war engines to the wearer. So, again, Cogs of Vashtorr model only. It's an aura where the friendly demon engine model is within 6 inches of the bearer. Each time that model makes an attack that targets a vehicle, improve the AP by 1. Beautiful. Now I have the power of the mute button. I don't have to cough at you guys. And then finally, I mean, that's a pretty good one as well. Talisman of the Forge is still sort of an auto take there. And then we have the Spite Iron Goad, which is torn from the best demon overseer of the soul forges themselves. This infernal implement allows the bearer to impose their will upon even the most feral and ferocious demon engine. So it's a little leash. Just kind of keep them going there. Cogs of Vashtorr model only. In your command phase, select one friendly demon engine within 9 inches of the bearer. Until the end of the turn, that unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. This is just disgusting. In an all demon engine model army, things like Mauler Fiends falling back and charging, the amount of free movement you can get off of that. Again, we are not locked to non-Titanic like some of the abilities are. So the ability for a Lord of Skulls to fall back and declare a charge and shoot is amazing, and something I'm very excited for doing with my Lord of Skulls. Perfect. On to the stratagems here. If your army is a Cogs of Vashtorr, you get these 6 stratagems. We're seeing the same sort of thing as the old World Eaters Guard with very simplified stratagems with a less amount at all times. We have Forge Surge. We use the stratagem in your shooting phase when the demon engine model, excluding titanic models from your army, is selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, do not roll to determine the number of attacks. It's just the max shots, which is for 1 CP, real good. Then for 2 CP, we have Master's Guidance. We use this in a shooting phase or the start of the fight phase. Until the end of the phase, your Warlord, so this is Vashtorr only, because Vashtorr has to be your Warlord, and he is here. While a friendly demon engine unit is within 6 inches of this model, you can re-roll the hit roll, which is, again, a super good stratagem, but is kind of sort of character locked to Vashtorr through that there. And I believe we have a little Danny back here. Oh, no. Okay. Guys, I'm going to jump here to a little standby screen while I reinsert Danny into the show.
Can be a video of like, oh, are
we're back?
Hey,
we're back.
So back.
Absolutely. Good. So professional. You got to love it when everything goes to plan.
We're working through the kinks here. This is our first live stream on our new independent platform. So I can promise you that it probably won't get worse than this.
No, it's false. Absolutely.
So whatever Danny, that means.
while you dropped out, and you were already talking about this stuff here, I kind of went through the relics. There's 3 relics here. 2 of them are phenomenal. One of them is Helm of the Cyber.
You think 2 of them are phenomenal? All right, tell me which 2.
So Talisman of the Forge is just a really polite way of reducing your army's CP by 1, I think is the way it was placed in Goonhammer. Because, it's just a 5-up. It's not restricted to non-Titanic like a lot of other things are.
Sure.
So you can, in your command phase, make your Lord of Skulls 5-up input. Or like all other kids, or the Feel No Pain. Also, Spite Iron Goad, I have a very special place in my heart for. Because I'm imagining things like, again, a Lord of Skulls that can fall back, shoot, charge again, or even just kind of a regular Mauler Fiend. Like the amount of movement I could get off of a Mauler Fiend falling back and charging again is just insane. I love both of those so much. But tell me what you think.
I think the Spite Goad, the Spite Iron Goad is the best one of the 2. I guess if you're going to take a super heavy, and I don't know that I would in this, but that's me, maybe 1. Talisman of the Forge is fine. I like the Spider and Goad a lot. Just gives you some maneuverability. I really like it on like a Lord Discordant, because you're going to be shoving those in your opponent's face on like turn 1.
So gross.
In this list with exploding 6s and everything else, it's pretty solid.
Yeah. Then I talked about a couple of the stratagems there. The Master's Guidance being kind of locked to just Vashtorr. What do you is your take on that?
Hold on. Did we talk about Forge Surge? Because that's like the best strat in this whole thing.
Tell me of your love.
Foul Alterations is really good, but Forge Surge is really good.
Okay, tell me of your love of Forge Surge here.
Forge Surge is super good if you're taking Decimators. Decimators have Soulburner Petards, which are 2d3 shots each. So getting max shots, getting 12 shots out of 1 is phenomenal. I think that they really sing in this kind of a list. They're not blast weapons either, so you can blast your way out of combat with them too, which is pretty great. Like just they're amazing ability to melt people. It's 2d3 shots for each arm on a decimator, right? And then after that, you roll on a 2+, they take a mortal wound for every hit that you get. So it gets around things like well, I guess it does real work against a lot of units, especially things that are problematic for the meta that are hard to wound. I'm pretty sure it gets around transhuman, but I'd have to look at that again. I don't remember what the consensus was on that. But yeah, super good on them. Being able to dump like 8 or 9 targeted mortal wounds on the first turn is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also on a big guy, right? If you're going to take a Lord of Skulls or something like that, who has a lot of random shots, that might be worth it. Probably not worth it on a Forge Fiend, though. Just saying.
No. He'll get all 3 shots every turn, and he might even hit with them. Master's Guidance, reroll the hit roll. What's your thoughts on that?
Great. 2 command points is expensive. But Vashtorr doesn't have to be visible to those units for them in order to get the aura. So you can kind of hide him behind a building whilst simultaneously giving a bunch of rerolls. And this is also not just in shooting or melee; it's both. So it does kind of give you that. If you want to be aggressive with Vashtorr and move him up, you can definitely kind of combo that up to get the most use out of a 2 command point stratagem, which in this day and age is pretty spicy and expensive.
Yeah, who is the command points for that? It's so expensive in this economy. Cogitated Fates, 1 CP. In your shooting phase, when a Traitorous Astartes unit from your army is selected to shoot, until the end of the phase, each time the model makes an attack, the target does not receive the benefits of cover. Is that a good spend of a CP, Danny?
It could be. Pretty good on stuff like Obliterators, maybe. Or like if you're not getting the rerolls, keep in mind it just ignores the benefits of cover, not just light cover. So this does ignore dense as well. So getting an extra effectively +1 to hit is always pretty nice. So situationally very useful.
And then Glitch Curse in your opponent shooting phase. Hold on. Let me start.
No, I'm already done, man. You can talk about it if you want. I'm just
it's the Vashtorr power of being within 18 inches and visible to Vashtorr. When it's finished making your shooting attacks, if any of these attacks targeted a Traitorous Astartes unit from your army, I forgot I needed a geometry degree for this one. If any of these attacks targeted a Traitorous Astartes unit from your army that was within 6 inches of your warlord, roll a dice on 2 to 4. Enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, 5+, 3 mortal wounds.
It requires a lot of triangle making. So, Tyler Bortel is like really salivating over this stratagem because it really, really kind of goes
1 CP.
Team. Yeah, 1 CP to make a triangle.
To do geometry.
Like, whoa, that's powerful.
I guess in edge cases, I can see the benefit of this. If there's a little bit left over as a way to finish off a unit or kind of do like dumb stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like, to me, the stratagem where you lose a game to this stratagem because your opponent really knows his codex and he pulls it out once every 30 games, but he knows it's there.
I'm thinking like a character who's got 1 or 2 wounds left is like shooting at your unit, and you're like, all right, buddy, here we go.
Yeah. Do you know what Glitch Curse does? No. That's going to be what you're going to hear.
You're about to learn today, son.
After that, Keko Spark Prattle, which is what we do every Monday on Grim. But use the stratagem after your opponent uses the stratagem. Until the end of the battle, CP cost your opponent must pay increases by 1. It's Agents of Vex, except it's Agents of Chaos.
Yep. That's exactly right. Except it's just Chaos Space Marines. So, I mean, let's be clear. There's no other Chaos in this army.
No. And then, go
fine.
ahead.
That's fine. It's not a bad set. That can be really useful.
No. Then Foul Alterations. Use the stratagem in your movement phase when a Demon Engine unit from your army is selected to advance. Until the end of that turn, the unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge. Danny, tell me about your second favorite stratagem from this list. I'm guessing.
Sorry, this is my first favorite stratagem.
Your first
Forge
favorite?
Surge is my second favorite stratagem. I did amend myself after I was like, is that? Yeah, no, it is. Foul Alterations is amazing. Give
1
me advance
CP.
charge. Yeah. Guess what you're spending the command point on every turn.
There's no, so it's not locked out for Titanic.
Nope.
It is not locked out for anything. It's very good. Very, very good. Danny, how do you see a Cogs of Vashtorr army? Like, what are you seeing in your mind's eye brain? I didn't make any army slides. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
Set up anything. So yeah.
I don't know. For me, it would be like Vashtorr, of course, because you have to, and then like Triple Lord Discordant, like 2 or 3 decimators, and then I would probably take a combination of whatever other things that I feel like I could fit in there, like Mauler Fiends, and then and maybe a couple of like Legionnaire units just to sit on objectives, and or Cultist units, just so I have some board presence. It's not just all Demon Engines all the time, because that is a recipe that gets you playing somebody who says "Thank you, Mistress" every single time they roll a dice.
Oh God. Gotta bring it up.
LVO, John brought all Demon Engines.
I did. And if you follow at Grim 40K Grim on Twitter, you would have seen a picture of my hand caressing the Demon Engine case with a "soon" as the caption. Because, yeah, I will make Vashtorr work. I'm not a good enough player to do it, but I will. If you see me on the 3rd round or the 5th round, you're going to have a bad time. Speaking of bad times,
I'm not fun to play against.
Because by that point, I'm 1-1. I'm just really mad because I thought I was going to win the whole thing, and I will make it a ridiculous experience.
Fair.
Danny, famous Danny of Internet Fame. I want to show you this here real quick. We'll go and go out of order.
Okay.
This beautiful boy. Danny is now actually a pro painter, which really is going to help our eBay sales in the future, because that's both of us now. Put on the bottom here, this is the model that Danny painted and was seen on Warhammer Community. It says, Danny gives us a battle-worn take on the Keeper of the Truth, trudging through some Martian hellscape and getting those nice bone-white robes all mucky. And they had a little asterisk beside that. And I was like, oh, what is that asterisk for? And they said, we hate to think what the Dark Angel's dry cleaning bill looks like. Danny, what kind of stains are you collecting as a Dark Angels player right now?
Buddy, the monastery is lonely and cold, my friend. So that's why those robes are white.
They get handed out green.
Look, the 41st Millennium doesn't have Kleenex. So
they have Dark Angels.
Yeah, they have homespun robes. So that's what you're looking at here. I did like that I got the only joke of anybody. Like, nobody else got a little...
That concerns me, that they pay attention to the podcast and they know that it's a joke podcast, as Danny drops out. And I didn't have the chance yet to create our technical error screen. So we're going to have to wait a second here. But while I get Danny back on, let's have some phenomenal, beautiful music. Hey, we promised it would keep happening.
We promised it wouldn't get worse, probably.
That's true, and then it did. So that's my mistake.
Well,
Dan,
if it stays the same, it's not getting worse technically. So I think we're still good on our promise, John.
That is true. So now we have Azrael up here. We have some amazing new Azrael art. Which is
I don't like his red wings now, though. I think that looks not good.
How do you think, Danny, Azrael earned his red wings?
Well, it's a mark of honor in some warrior cultures, Don, to dye your accoutrements with the blood of your enemies. And so that's what Azrael has done. Nothing sexual or disgusting. It's for sure because that's the blood of his enemies, or maybe the blood of fallen.
Yeah, could be.
Could be.
But yeah, Azrael has crossed the Rubicon, and he has
Yes.
become Primaris. Take us through Azrael.
He's beautiful. He's BBA, big beautiful Azrael. He's got the same stats as he did before, except he's +1 wound, so 7 wounds, which is a great number. It's really awkward for 3 damage weapons. It's great for 2 damage weapons. It just makes him that much more survivable. And then he went up to 6 base attacks, which means he's 7 attacks on a turn in which he doesn't charge. In the first round of combat, usually when he charges. Or is charged. Anyway, the other things that they've changed on him, they've made Lion's Wrath actually a usable weapon instead of wrapping around his hand. Yeah, crazy, right? But its stats maintain the same amazing stats. It doesn't overheat. It's just a mastercrafted plasma gun all the time, which is great. His Sword of Secrets got a little bit better. He got +1 strength on it. And then also it's 3 damage instead of 2 damage, and it still does mortal wounds on 6s to wounds. So it's just a phenomenal weapon. And then, yeah, he's still got a bolt pistol and frag and crack grenades. All of his rules stay basically the same otherwise. So still has Chapter Master, still has Rights of Battle, still gives +2 command points. If he's your Warlord, he still has a Watcher in the Dark, which lets him do a deny once per game. Re-rolling if it's a Chaos Psyker. And then his Lion Helm is unchanged. It's a 6-up aura of a 4+ invulnerable save against shooting attacks, all for the princely cost of 170 points. I love him, man. He's great.
So how much does this data sheet make you feel that we're in the end times of the edition? By the fact kind of we have characters who's got a basic bolt pistol. His stats were kind of barely upgraded. He was just primarified. And how many more points is he just now than his tiny version? What's that?
30 points.
30 points? Do you feel
it's significant?
He's got 30 points more play? Or were you going to see a lot of tiny Azraels still going out in the wild?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the legality of it is going to be until there's a new codex. Can you use both versions of him? I don't know. I hope that they make you play with Primaris Azrael, because normal Azrael is probably undercosted. This guy is very good. Just very good. He does so much stuff for your army. He does so much stuff for you. Like with the command points and everything else. I just think he's a really solid power piece, and he does damage. Like, Azrael fucks, dude.
It's like that should have been like the Asterix comment in the GW paint piece. Just be like, Asterix, he fucks. He's good. What does being Primaris do for him, apart from kind of the addition of the attack, the addition of the wound that you kind of went over there, making him very hard to kill with that weird odd number? What does the Crossing the Rubicon do for this character?
So Primaris would normally give him access to transhuman physiology, but Azrael's Deathwing, so he's always transhumans all the time, which is great. But honestly, what it gives him access to is a few strats. One of the strats, the only one I can think of off the top of my head right now, is that he has Gene Forged Might, which means he can make 6s to hit auto wound. For 1 command point and a guy with 7 attacks, probably not worth it. But pretty cool. I mean, he's already strength 7, so
yeah. But are we in sort of a situation where, Tales from the Mid-Table, where all of the most competitive best play happens, where legally you can take Primaris Azrael and regular Azrael in the same army to kind of double up and sort of...
No, you can't.
No?
They both have the Chapter Master keyword?
No, so you can't have 2 Chapter Masters.
Unless... unless you can with like
Because there's an
I don't
arc
know.
of only once you take
I'd have
more
to
than
look at
one
the rule
character.
for like limited, if it's limited to one or not, or if you can only ever have one chapter master in your army. I don't
I'm
know.
just thinking of things that are really annoying that people tend to do. It's beautiful. But what? So, do you think we're going to
I
see
don't
a
know.
lot of?
That's a lot of points to spend on 2 characters, and yeah, they give you 2 6-up or 2 auras of 4+ invulse save, and like 2 instances of rerolling. But are you going to have enough units to really take advantage of that? I feel like that's kind of not the way that Dark Angels work right now. Plus, you're not getting +2 command points. Only one of them is giving that to you.
Hey,
So
it's only 2 of those guys is only 40 points more than Vashtorr, one of the most powerful Chaos characters out there. So you know that you have to really balance that out.
it's
How do
50,
you?
but yeah.
I can't do math. I think we've established this here. Beals, welcome up in chat. It's like 3 a.m. What are you doing, you madman? He's saying, "You telling me the single man costs as much as like 16 Necron Scarabs?"
Yeah, he sure does.
Yeah, he sure does. Are we going to see a lot of him on the table? Young
I think you're going to
Azrael.
continue to see him as the latest meta watch has kind of shown. Also, some of the stat check stuff has shown that Dark Angels are real good right now. So, and he's a pretty key component of that.
Oh, well, what are your kind of overall reactions, overall takes for this release? 2 characters, 1 upgrade, 1 brand new.
Well, I mean, so the real meat of the supplement has to do with boarding action stuff. So if you're into boarding action, you play one of the armies that are covered, you should definitely check it out. I really like the rules for Necrons. I've said time and time again, if I could have those stratagems instead of all the Necron stratagems, I would take it. I would swap the whole page for 8 good strats. Like super solid. Anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing how that potentially transitions into a new edition of Warhammer 40,000 in the future. But this book isn't for somebody who wants to buy, who wants to play these characters. You can get those rules online. So you're buying this book for the boarding action stuff and the fluff. And if you want it for that, I think it's really good. It's a great deal. I think the fluff is really interesting and cool, especially if you're into the Dark Angels or weird chaos shit. You should definitely check it out.
That's all Chaos have is just weird Chaos shit, which Edge Case works sometimes, but most of the times will leave you disappointed to the point where Chaos sabotages itself, which they do in the lore of this book.
True. It's just plain like it's supposed to, man.
Beautiful. Danny, anything else you want to wrap us up with before we sign off here before the 50-minute mark?
No, yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad we got to talk about this stuff. Really cool supplement, and yeah, these characters are going to be a fun and interesting addition to the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, the Saturday streams are probably going to keep on coming. If it's not a hot take from Danny about the latest and greatest, it's going to probably be something like a hang and paint. You might have noticed my little scenery has changed around me to the point where like it's not finalized here yet, but like I got a little top down area now. Hey, what's up? It's not lit, but we're good to go. We're gonna keep on creating content whether you like it or not, which I think should be the tagline for this show. Join us this Monday, Danny. Please do.
Monday.
Yeah.
What happens on Mondays, John?
Every Monday on this channel, this location at 40K Grim, we do Grim After Dark, which is an irreverent late night talk show where every week we rip off Space Ghost coast to coast more and more. Keep seeing by how many TVs we add this Monday. And the production will be better as it will be produced by the wonderful Dickie. Beals in chat. He's saying, still waiting for a hot take. Danny, go.
Meat is not murder.
Man, you cannot argue with that. And if you could, it wouldn't be a hot take.
You shouldn't. Yeah.
Join us 10 p.m. Eastern time every Monday night right here for Grim After Dark. Join us Saturdays for Hang and Pain, so when we just talk about rules. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I don't have an out for this, so yeah.